Hi, and welcome to the Success Path show, where Christian business owners share their secrets for success to help you reach your kingdom goals. And I am so excited today. I have the one and only Glenn Lundy. And let me make a formal introduction. Glenn Lundy is a husband to one, a father to eight, and host of the wildly popular Facebook Live show, Rise and Grind, and creator of Breakfast with Champions Club on Clubhouse. He's been on various stages across the country, including Hustle and Grind and Con and Grow Your Business for God's Sake. I love that name, to mention a few. And Glenn has been spotlighted on ABC, NBC, CBS. He's an expert in dealership culture development, leadership training. With 20 years experience in the automotive industry, Glenn led a dealership from 120 cars a month to an 800% increase in sales in 5 years. Super amazing. And he became the second largest, that franchise became the second largest used car franchise in the country. And Glenn's unique style makes him one of the most coveted GMs in the business. With a background in sales and finance, he uses his skills to create growth, as well as tapping into the mental side of human development. Welcome, Glenn.
Oh, well, thank you. You're so kind. I appreciate you sharing this space and time with me. It means the world to me.
Yes, I'm so honored that you're here. I'm so excited about what God is doing in your life. And I just see you living the blessed life, and not only living it, but also you're motivating other people to live the best life. You give them, all these tips on Instagram. I see you everywhere, all around the country. So, but it didn't start there. So where did it start, and how did God bring you to where you are today?
So, I grew up in Flagstaff, Arizona. My parents split up when I was 11 years old. And after they split up, it was interesting because my mom is white, my dad is black. And when they split up, my dad married a black woman and my mom married a white man. And then my mom and her new husband moved into Greenlaw Garden Apartments at 2600 East 7th Avenue, apartment number 28. And my dad and his new wife moved into Greenlaw Garden Apartments at 2600 East 7th Avenue, apartment number 30. And so my dad and his new wife and her 4 kids and my mom and her new husband lived 2 doors down from one another. And I grew up in the middle. And what was crazy, Violet, is all of the stereotypes that you could think of existed in these 2 houses. So dad's house was loud and sports and fried chicken and collard greens and all of playing dominoes, all of those things. And mom's house was more country music and rock and roll. Every once in a while I'd see her just sitting on the couch reading a book, like it was a quiet house. It was completely different cultures. And I grew up in the middle of those 2, which created some identity issues within me when I was young. My skin was too dark to be considered white, too light to be considered black. I didn't really know where I fit in. And so I became a chameleon of sorts, where whoever I was around, I became that. I became that type of person. So if I was hanging out with the jocks, I was a jock. If I was hanging out with the cowboys, I was a cowboy. If I was hanging out with the Mexicans, I was Hispanic, right? Yes, exactly. Exactly. And so whoever I was around, my environment ultimately determined who I was. And that got me into a lot of trouble because I ended up in a lot of positions with a lot of people that, I was just very easily influenced. And so I got into a lot of trouble in high school. My parents were very happy to see me leave when I went off to college. I was super smart, really, really smart, like book smart, never really had to study, always got good grades, those types of things. But I caused a lot of trouble outside of the house. And I think being super smart was part of that because I was bored a lot, And so got into a lot of trouble, went off to college, met a girl. Quickly, she got pregnant. I had my first daughter. And when I had my first daughter, I had to go to work and provide and do all of those things. And so I got into sales. I landed into the auto industry, and the auto industry is not known for being very conducive for relationships outside of work, because I was working every single day. I was off 2 Sundays a month. Other than that, I was at work from open to close every day. And so my relationship with my daughter's mom fell apart quickly. Plus, I was still getting into a lot of trouble with the law. I'd go out and drink and party and fight and all of those things. And I lived a very Darwinistic life at this point. I didn't believe in God. I had zero, I didn't believe that we were spiritual beings. It was just mind and body. And so if it looked good and it felt good, Violet, the answer was yes. Period. Looks good, feels good. Answers yes. Drugs,
Man.
yes. Drinking, yes. Sex, yes. Right? Looks good, feels good.
Wow.
Answers yes. And so that wasn't conducive to very good relationships. I ended up burning a lot of bridges. And fast forward, I ended up losing custody of my daughter when she was 6 years old. And that kind of sent me into a spiral where I left Flagstaff, Arizona. I kind of I'll just run away from my problems. You know, it's always a good strategy, right? Just run away from your problems. They'll never catch up to you, right? They'll never come back, right?
The lies we tell ourselves.
Yes, exactly. And so I kind of ran away and, burned some other bridges over in the Nevada area, burned some more bridges in the California area and the Phoenix, Arizona area. And ultimately I landed in San Diego, California. And I woke up one day and I had nowhere to go and no money, no credit. And there I was homeless in San Diego, California. And so when I was homeless, I spent my days, every day became the same. It was just a sequence of I would sleep on the bus at night for safety, get off the bus at 6 a.m., go hunt for change in the street so I could get a sausage McMuffin with egg so I could get all my food groups, right? And then I would spend the rest of the day looking for enough change to get back on the bus that night. And here I was surrounded by decadence and beauty and beaches and $1 million homes and people running down the beach holding hands all in shape and kids laughing. And I was, here I was disconnected and homeless. And so homelessness soon became hopelessness. And the hopelessness soon became depression. And the depression soon became suicidal thoughts. And ultimately, I just felt invisible, right? No one talked to me. People wouldn't make eye contact with me because I was homeless and they didn't know if I was going to mug them or ask them for money or make them feel guilt or shame for not helping. And so there was no eye contact. No one ever said my name, and you just begin to become invisible. You start to blend in with the background when you're homeless, and there's no worse feeling in the world. And so I reached a point where I was like, you know what? I can fix all of this. My mom probably is worried about me still. My sister's probably embarrassed. Her brother's this homeless dude somewhere, right? I burned all these bridges. So I was like, the best thing I could do would be to end my own life, which would make everyone else's life around me better, right? That was really what I had convinced myself. And so I went out into the Pacific Ocean and attempted to take my own life. I'm not a very good swimmer at all. Let's go back to the stereotypes about Black people, right? I'm not a very good swimmer at all. And so my thought was swim out as far as you can and you won't be able to make it back. And that's what I attempted to do. And in that moment, God literally plucked me out of the ocean, put me back on the beach. It turned out that while I was trying to swim out, the tide was coming in, and I wasn't strong enough swimmer to even get out past the tide. And so here I was. I thought I was going somewhere, and I wasn't going anywhere. But God plucked me out of the ocean, laid me on the beach, and He, call it a whisper, call it a premonition, call it a thought, call it a feeling, however you want to translate it. But ultimately, in that moment, as I lay there on the beach, gasping and looking up at the stars, I realized two things. One, I realized how small my problems were and how big the universe actually was. And then the second thing was that all of a sudden, it was these words: you take yourself wherever you go. And those are words that a mentor of mine had taught me when I was 20 years old. He would say, Glenn, you take yourself wherever you go. You can change your environment. You can change the people around you. You can change where you live. You can change your house. You can change where you eat. You can change all of those things, but you will always be there. And so if the result is consistent, even though the environment is changing, the odds are that you're creating the result. You are not a victim of, but actually the catalyst for. And so in that moment, those words came to mind. You take yourself wherever you go. And I started to look, and I had lived in different cities, and I had different groups of people around me. And I had all of these things that were different around me, but the result kept being the same. And that same result was hungover. That same result was jail. That same result was alone and invisible, right? And so it hit me like a flash. It was like, oh, wait a minute. So if I'm the catalyst of all things negative in my life, does that mean that I could be the catalyst for all things good? Right? And so when I started to ask that question, I'm a very inquisitive person. I'm a very good student, right? And so I was like, okay, well, wait a minute. Maybe I need to learn who I am. And the only way to learn who I am is I have to do some ancestry. I have to figure out where I come from. And so I went and studied Scientology for a little while, for like 6 months in Orange County. And in Scientology, it taught me a lot of things about the subconscious mind, the conscious mind, so on and so forth. And they also started speaking about this thing called what they call a thetan, which we call a soul, the spiritual element of self. And I was like, wait a minute, I didn't think there was a spiritual element. It was just supposed to be mind and body, not mind, body, spirit, right? And so I said, well, let me learn more about the spiritual side of self because I need to know who I am. And the only way I can figure out who I am is I have to study all these different areas, mind, body, and clearly spirit. And so as I started journeying and studying Buddhism and lots of different religions and ultimately Christianity, I found spiritual enlightenment through studying Jesus Christ and the Bible. And once I found that aspect, it was like my life went from 2D to 3D, right? Before it was just mind, body. Now it was mind, body, spirit. And that shift changed, like it gave me an identity. I was like, oh, I'm a child of God, the God of the universe, God that made everything. And as a child of God, that means that I have inherently the ability to create. And I can create good or I can create evil, right? But either way, I'm a creator. My father's the creator of the universe. So I'm a creator. And once I realized that, that's when my life, and I'd like to say it happened overnight, but it didn't because I'm very stubborn and it takes me a while to learn things. I like doing things the hard way. But from that point forward, my life was a series of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, where prior to that, it was a series of 3 steps back and very few steps forward. And so going from 2D to 3D really has made all the difference in my life and is ultimately what's led me to be able to have the success that I have now. I have 8 kids. I have a beautiful bride, multiple businesses, and an opportunity to share my story on stages and platforms all around the world. So
amazing. How amazing. And praise God that you didn't get lost in the counterfeit, but you actually found the real thing. And now God is using you in such great and mighty ways. So since this show is for people that own businesses and are entrepreneurs, what are some success tips that you found that have helped you to build those businesses and maintain them at such a strong level? And then maybe also the family aspect, because sometimes people have a hard time balancing those things.
yeah, no doubt. And so as a business owner now, it was really important to me. And I learned this through working for someone else and now for myself. But when I was at the dealership that we were able to grow 800%, we really shifted the focus from a profit-minded thought process to a people-minded, right? How can we develop and curate our people? Because as a spiritual person, I believe that Violet is my sister, right? You're my sister. And as my sister, you should be treated as a family member. Not, even if you work for me, you're not my employee, you're my sister, right? And therefore, it's important to me that you grow and thrive in all 7 areas of our lives, the 7 major areas, which is faith, fitness, finances, family, friends, our careers, and ultimately our mindset, right? How we feel about ourselves. So that's faith, fitness, finances, family, friends, career, and self mindset. And so what we did at the dealership and what I continue to do with my businesses now is we don't just teach job skills, we teach life skills.
Yes.
When you develop the human, the result, the earthly results, when you develop the human to the best version of themselves that they can be mind, body, and spirit, then the results are transformed, right? They give more, they achieve higher, they carry themselves differently. The frequency is differently. It is different. The energy is different. And so that's what we found is if we just develop people, then the rest of it comes together, right? And when we step out every day in faith and understanding that ultimately it's not our works or our actions that are going to determine our destiny, but rather doing our works and our actions in a way that glorifies God. And God wants to be glorified, I believe, through our impact on others. So I believe we have a born on date and an expiration date, and that little dash in the middle that just impact. That's it. People say, what's the meaning of life? Well, the meaning of life is to make a positive impact in other people's lives. That's what I believe. And so when we do that, when we make a positive impact in other people's lives, God honors that. And he creates situations and circumstances of abundance around that, right? It's like the parable of the talents, right? If you bury the talents, and you don't use them for impact reasons, he will take them away. However, if you take the talents and you go out to the marketplace and you multiply the talents, then God awards you with more. And so that's what I've learned over the last, 14 years and really been able to apply is how can we invest in others, which God then rewards for us.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that. So now, if the audience has any question about purpose, there you go. It is to actually have a positive impact, while you're here on this earth. That's awesome.
Positive impact in other people's lives. And so in our businesses, if we look at it that way, right, we're like, okay, we're going to make a positive impact in our customers' lives. We're going to make a positive impact in our employees' lives. We're going to make a positive impact in our families, right? Our families are important, more important than any of it. And so we create space, like everyone who works with me, around me, for me, doesn't matter. They all know that family is a priority. Like it's not an option. You can't come work for me and destroy your life at home. Like I just won't have it. Like I'll be like, dude, you need to go home and you need to go to that recital. You need to go to that soccer game. You need to invest in your children. Do not go home after working with me for 12 hours and tell your family you're too tired to do anything with them. Like, no, that does not fly. So my team and my staff, they know, like they just know that if there's something family, the answer is yes. And that creates a very safe environment for them to thrive outside of it. And I think that, God really honors that as well. He likes that, right? He's like, okay, cool, I get it. So I will never put business in front of my family. And I think what's interesting is most of us grew up to where we create life around our career and our business, right? So it's like business is the priority. Let's fill in the space around it is what most people do. And what I've learned is that doesn't have to be that way. We can create our life or we can figure out how we want to live our life and then create our business around that. And that polarity shift has been tremendous for me. So I get up early, I leave early, but I'm also back home and I eat breakfast and dinner with my kids 250 days a year. The other 115 days, I get to travel and speak and do all those things that I love to do, right? And my wife and I have this agreement and understanding that I'll be there for breakfast and dinner 250 days a year. We'll do the other things in the other space and time. But I've been able to create my business where I leave, I come back home, I'm home for an hour. My wife gets to get away from the kids. She can go take a shower and do all those things. I hang out, we eat breakfast, then I come back later, we have dinner. Like we've just created this lifestyle that is conducive to all of the things. And so that's what I would challenge all the business owners and entrepreneurs that are listening to this is do not allow the business to come first. Ultimately create a lifestyle and then fit your business into that.
I love that. And one final question before we start wrapping up. In business, people come across obstacles and challenges. So what are some ways that people can overcome those obstacles that may come up?
Yeah, so you have good days in business and you have character building days. There are no bad days, all right? It's good days and it's character building days. And so what everyone in business needs to understand is that from the moment you were born on this planet, you have been going through a process, a 4-step process that continues. It just cycles over and over and over again. And you will go through this for your entire life. And that process is simple: change, struggle, grow, succeed. So we go through this process from the moment we were born, right? I have 8 babies. So I've watched these babies. They're born at first. They're just gelatinous masses, like these little aliens that you can just put down for whatever, right? They eat, they sleep,
Gelatinous
they poop.
aliens.
That's
They're
it.
cute, but they're cute, right?
They're cute, but they're gelatinous masses. They really are, right? Their heads are just all wobbled and like they're just, then you just lay them there and they're just like, oh, they got nothing, right? And they're content. You feed them, you change them, and they sleep. And that's it, right? And they're content. As they start to develop, mentally something changes. They go from being content with just laying there, being a gelatinous blob, to now all of a sudden they're like, oh, wait a minute. I want to roll over. Like I want to maybe go somewhere. I'm itching for something different. I'm tired of just laying here on my back. And so as soon as that change happens mentally, you see the baby start to struggle. The baby will start to push its arms out. It will start to kick its legs. It will start lifting up its head. It will go through this struggle process. And that process ultimately is what develops the coordination, the muscles, and all of that. It grows those muscles. It grows that coordination until one day they roll over, right? And we all cheer, yay, the baby rolled over. We post it on social media, right? They achieve success. And they're content with that for a little while. And then mentally something changes, right? They're like, wait a minute, I'm tired of waiting on people to come pick me up all the time. Like, what's going on here, right? I want to go somewhere. Yeah. So then they go through the same process, the mental change, followed by a struggle. They start to try to push themselves up off the ground, lifting their head. And that struggle creates the coordination, grows the muscles until one day they crawl. Same process to walk, same process to run, same process to jump, same process to ride a bike, same process to go through puberty, same process as a teenager, same process out through high school, same process when you graduate, same process. Every change is always followed by struggle. The struggle is what creates the growth, and success is on the side of growth. There is no success without growth. So we just go through these seasons. So in your business, you've made a change. Therefore, you're experiencing struggle, but understand that the struggle is required for growth, and there's no success without growth. So whatever season you're in right now, just know what's coming next. Maybe you're in a season of success right now. Everything's great. You got the Midas touch. You're killing it. Well, guess what? Something's going to change. It's coming. So be prepared. Store your nuts, right? Save, invest, put yourself in a position. Economy is going to change. Weather's going to change. Products are going to change. Technology is going to change. Something's going to change. You can't just stay in a place of success and harvest forever. It's not how life works. And when the change comes, you're going to struggle. So know that. Prepare for that. Be excited about that. When people tell me, Violet, people are like, Glenn, I'm really struggling right now. I'm like, great.
wonderful.
That's amazing. They're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, that means you're growing. That means you're growing, and there's no success without growth. And see, here's the problem is sometimes people get stuck in the struggle. They see struggle as a negative thing, and then they stay in the struggle, right? They refuse to let the struggle grow them, right? They're like the caterpillar that just says, I'm not coming out of this cocoon. I'm going to stay here. It's uncomfortable. I don't like it. I hate my life. I hate everything about it, but I'm not, like, I refuse to let myself out. Like sometimes people do, they get stuck in that space because they see the struggle as though someone or something is against them versus for them. And the reality is you're struggling because God has greater plans for you. And in order for you to transform to the butterfly, you have to go through this process. In order for you to grow, you have to go through this process, right? And so that's what I would say to somebody in that spot is, yeah, there's good days and there's character building days. And they're all required in order for you to reach the best levels of self and business that you can possibly achieve.
Wow. And if people had that mindset before the pandemic had happened, how different would we have, the whole world would have gone through it. So I love that you're sharing that.
No doubt, no doubt.
So for the audience, we have you're offering a freebie that's called the Morning 5 ebook. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what the reader will get that will download this?
Yeah, sure. So I believe if you change the way you start your day, it'll make a massive impact in your life, right? Everybody, you need to have a powerful morning routine that taps into mind, body, and spirit. Every successful human does, right? So if you want to reach high levels of success, you need to have one. And so what I did is I created the Morning 5 simple steps to an extraordinary life. It's a free ebook. You can read it in less than an hour. There's an Audible version if you would like. And ultimately, it just breaks down 5 things that you can do every single morning that are super, super easy, right? 5 things that you can do to tap into all 3 dimensions of who you are and prepare you for the storms or whatever is coming your way that day. So yeah, just go to themorning5.com. That's themorning5.com, and you can download that ebook for free.
Wonderful. And we'll put the description and the direct link in the comments below so that you can just click on it and go directly to it.
Thank you.
So yeah, and where can people follow you? I know I see you on Instagram a lot. Is that your favorite social media platform?
If you, whatever's good for you, you just type in Glenn Lundy in Google and go wherever you want. Like we have, I don't have any favorites. We're just here to inspire people, right? To motivate, to educate, and to inspire. And so we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, we've got podcasts, we've got glennlundy.com website, we have all of that stuff. So whatever's best for you, but I always would suggest start with that Morning 5, the morning5.com. Start there because that really tells a little bit more about my story and then also gives you those 5 simple steps that can make an impact in your life.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Glenn. I really appreciate this. And to the viewer, check out that Morning 5 ebook. Just one last thing, Glenn. Is there anything that God has put in your heart or is telling you right now that for that one person out there that really needs to hear some encouragement today?
Yeah, I just want to let everyone know that, I believe that you and I are children of God, the God of the universe, the God that made everything. And that God made us, that God made you to be the absolute best version of yourself that you can possibly be. Not an average version, not a little bit above average, not a little bit below, but the absolute best. And what you need to understand is that that's not for you. It's for others. See, when you choose to step into your greatness, it makes an impact on your friends, on your family members, on your coworkers, everyone that you come in contact with. And so ultimately, it's your responsibility. It's your responsibility to lean in, become the best that you can possibly be, because there are so many people that would lose if you don't win. There are so many people out there. When I tried to drown myself in the ocean, if that would have if I would have been successful in that endeavor, there are 7 children that currently exist on this planet that would never have been born. There is a beautiful woman who's sitting at the house right now, probably playing in her garden, right? That would have never had the opportunity to experience the life she's experiencing. There'd be no Rise and Grind. There'd be no Breakfast with Champions. There'd be this conversation right here, right? And so it's just important to me that everyone know that you matter. You have so much worth and so much value. You are an integral piece of the puzzle. So hang on. It might be tough. Hang on. One more day. Start over again tomorrow. You can rise and grind and step into your greatness.
Wow. That just gave me all the feels. So thank you so much.
You're welcome so much.
Yes. And I just really appreciate you, Glenn. And I bless you. I bless your family. And to the viewer, we love you. We appreciate you. Please subscribe to this channel, like it, share it with your friends, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Sounds great. Thank you.
God bless.